So what I'm thinking is I want to help Remington with subpoenas. I feel like you have a good head on your shoulders with subpoenas. Do you feel comfortable with phone subpoenas and like search and seizures
Oh
and,
yeah,
and stuff?
yeah. I've before I was even brought in with the detective unit, I was just pushing subpoenas left, right, and center on stuff
Perfect.
that I thought was interesting. So
Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. Um, would there be a chance that at some point relatively soon, I don't want to like push you or press, but at some point soon, maybe looking at potentially speaking with Remington in regards to the people we want to push subpoenas on? They're all going to be essentially the same phone subpoena and the same bank subpoena. Um, there's not going to be a lot to really like bring up other than the time frame and everything that we discussed on that parking lot a couple days ago. I think overall this is going to be pretty cut and dry. And I think that it's going to be a pretty quick like in and out. If we get them signed, great. If we don't, we don't. I think regardless, we want them before we push this to the docket. We have the docket posting ready, and we're going to talk with Odessa for prosecution for it. So I'm not expecting that to go too badly. I think the priority right now is getting these records for us to build a bigger case on Hydra as well.
yeah, and we can really do this in 2 steps if you want. So I mean, we could have something which doesn't even need that hob ceiling, right? Like, just being quite honest with you, for these people involved in the finding of the 40 bags of meth, we can get the day before, the day after, and the day of, in terms of phone and bank if we want, right? If
I
that's
think
going to
that's the
help us in
easiest thing to
terms of
do.
that. Or we could try and go for, I'm going to say 4 days before, 4 days after. I don't think that's pushing it to about a week, essentially, right?
Absolutely.
So we go for that, and then if we get that link between one person and Hydra, then that specific person, like whoever was making the phone call, we can then do like an extended like 30-day search or something like that. Because a judge, you include the hob ceiling in, you also include the fact that Hydra has been caught in the past 60 days in 3 different meth runs that have all yielded the big bags in some way, shape, or form. And also, Seaside's been caught in 37 alphas multiple times, so it's enough for us to extend it beyond there.
Sure. I think I think the 3-day that you're talking about, I think the day before, day of, and day after is our best possible chance in getting this like pretty cut and dry. I think that is well within fair. And
That'd be signed instantly by Cross if he's around. Like, he would
perfect.
literally just sign off on that.
Awesome. Well, in that case, I'm trying to think who we need to get subpoenas on again. I think you got it written down actually.
Yeah, I've got it. So it's Demetrius Jones, Samuel Smalls, and Axel Drake. There was also the Vidal guy, but we kind of had shaky evidence because Nova was that guy's.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a big player anyway. I don't think he's big fish. So
he's not big fish.
Doing his own. He was doing his own meth cooking alone and got caught with a blown up meth table, I believe.
Oh boy.
Like 45 days ago, yeah.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, no one's looking out for him, so he's not a big guy.
Awesome. I mean, that's gonna work out good for us then if we keep it limited. I say we go for Demetrius, we go for Samuel, and we go for Axel. Would you be able to get with Remington at some point? And start working out like a good just kind of subpoena for that. And I want to be there for that. My issue is I've been trying to delegate a meeting with the 3 of us, and my schedule has been capital F fucked with all the changes recently on my end, which I feel bad for. So I'm sorry that this is taking this long. But
that's fine.
Like we had a meeting earlier with Bundy and Luca and Harvey, and we all kind of discussed cases. Before Brian comes back from his LOA, we want to kind of start pushing cases either to the docket if they're ready, or we want to start closing cases. So I think what we're going to do is I think we should prioritize getting at least the bank records, share them with who we need to. I can obviously get them submitted, and Lucy's more than willing to sign off on them too. We can even talk to Cross and get that taken care of. And go from there. I want to be there to help out, but I didn't know if there was a chance. It was supposed to be you, me, Remington, and Bauer. But Lucy has told me that she's got her eye on Remington and wants to see how Remington does too. And I have more than enough trust in your ability to kind of help guide that and I don't mind being there for it. I just want to find a scheduled time, even if it's today, just to kind of sit down. Again, this was my responsibility, but I'm asking if there's any chance that you would be able to help assist with that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll try and get in contact with Remington and just realistically go over it and just try and get them to write something up and
Yeah.
see what goes from there.
Absolutely. Quick sidetrack from that. We'll put a pin on that. Had a meeting today with Rose about instructor stuff.
Oh, yep.
We're getting some guidelines for you, some SOP stuff. The way that we want to treat things is treat it as, in terms of chain of command, treat like the motor cert as, so treat like a probationary as like a solo cadet. Treat full cert as like an officer. Treat the instructors as seniors, and then treat supervisors as essentially sergeants, right? We want to kind of try and keep the command structure pretty simple. I think we have enough ranks now, but we want to kind of help delegate. We have a couple people who may be looking for FTO sessions, and what I want to work with you on. So somebody the other day, Wayne Thunder, did not pass his hot pursuit, and we took notes on Wayne for what we want improvements on. And I told Rose and Bloom and everybody else that I know that you are like bread and butter shift 3 when it comes to the do's and don'ts. And I always get on motor myself. Recently, not as much, I'll admit. But if Wayne comes around and we can find some time for him, I'd like to get him an FTO session or two. And if he's able to come around shift 3 for that, he's mainly shift 2, but if he's around shift 3, he's sort of a shift yes at times.
Yeah, I see him different shifts.
Yeah. I have the notes provided to what we want to focus on for him, and hopefully moving forward get other people who get FTO sessions as well. But when we have the SOPs written for you, and what I mainly wanted to let you know is I told you I'd get you some guidelines soon. As soon as we have the instructor SOPs kind of like finalized, I will pass them along to you so you know. And we even want to try and get some kind of line of communication so you can reach out to supervisors as well.
Perfect.
So,
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, not a problem. If you ever see anything,
I did have one question.
Yeah, what's up? Hit me with it.
So we were chasing an Akuma yesterday, and I'll just be honest, I couldn't keep up in A+. I went and bought myself a upgraded Akuma today. I'm very keen for anyone who wants to try and chase me on it to see how fast I can lose them.
Really? I know the Akumas are. Granted, all bikes are like all street bikes are wild with braking. The Akuma is insane at braking.
Yeah,
it is,
and it's still got the acceleration better than our bike. Like it's.
I mean,
I just feel like we upgraded the double T, I believe, to S+, and I think Akuma's the only bike on the list that's A+ that I'd strongly recommend.
We did hot pursuit in the double T yesterday, and I will even admit I had a hard time keeping up in S+.
Oh yeah.
It's not even the acceleration. It's the culmination of the acceleration, the braking, and the turning. It's everything all at once.
It's the turning that does it, I think.
The turning is really...
Obviously, the braking helps, but the turning's where they just kill us.
Well, the thing is, one ankle break and they're gone. That's the big thing. Yep. So the one thing that we're teaching people and like trying to prioritize is keep a relative distance on a street bike, because a street bike will make one turn on you and you will lose them forever. So to keeping that distance is like the most keen thing about motor. That and obvious communication and safety, but the like big like thing is making sure that people are aware of that, which actually leads me into this. We don't do hot pursuit for everybody, but like in Wayne's situation, we couldn't pass them because of a couple different reasons. But overall, what we want the instructors to kind of help out with is if we have someone on an FTO session. Not everyone is going to get hot pursuit, but there are people that we are going to recommend for hot pursuit. And if they are, we want the whole point of hot pursuit is you. So like for example, Wayne, right? Wayne, you are the lead on this. We want you to treat this as this is your call. Your lead. You are running this. We want you to make the calls. We want you to call the shots. We want you to be comfortable enough to be of the utmost communicative, if that's even a word, on on radio, and to make sure that, you know, you're able to properly relay information and delegate units, as well as also be aware of your safety. So if you're like passing a unit, passing them and giving, you know, the driver heads up before you pass them, rather than saying it while you're at their driver's side door, stuff like that. Making sure that they're having proper distance between the vehicle in front of them and whatnot. Kind of just doing everything that like someone in motor would know how to do. We want to keep the expectation, and we want to kind of keep motor held to a higher standard, and we want to educate for that. So something to be mindful for like FTOs is just making sure that people are prepared and comfortable and ready to take lead on a bike chase if they were put on the spot, which they will. That's kind of the point of motor, is to kind of, you know, as soon as the bike's involved, it's essentially your show at that point, right?
Exactly. So that's where we lead and we take over. Yeah.
So in that regard, stuff to kind of bear in mind for like FTO stuff. If we have a hot pursuit, we'll let you know if this person's going for hot pursuit, and if you feel that they're ready, we'll take your recommendation. Not that, you know, it's any responsibility that would fall back on you if they failed. Just if you feel that there's a culmination of things that you think they are ready to kind of take matters in their own hands, fantastic. If you think someone needs an extra day, we want to take your word on that too. The idea with instructor is that I have the full trust in you to make that call, and I want to take your word and kind of empower you to kind of have that responsibility too. Kurt in shift 2 is doing the same thing, and I'm hoping that moving forward we'll have instructors with proper written SOPs. Give us like a day or two, and I'll have those emailed over to you. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
Oh yeah. If I see Wayne around, I'll ask him how he's doing and just try and get him out there with me just a shift when we can.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't, and I told Wayne not to be discouraged, right? The idea of hot pursuit is that it's hard. We want it to be difficult, but we also want that expectation. Also, you know, the delayed gratitude of getting into motor, we want to be an exciting thing. We don't want it to just be, congrats, trial over, here's your bike, have fun. We want people that know their shit. We want that delayed gratitude. So.
And not everyone passes first time. I mean, shit, when I went for solo cadet, I didn't pass my first one. I fumbled it big time.
Me too.
Like, it was a big fumble.
Listen, my solo cadet, I did so bad as a solo that Espino's pulled me in a room and said, Flap, do you feel you're ready for solo? I said, Espino's, not a fucking chance.
Yeah.
So, I was bumped back to get back with an FTO, which was good. I mean, it made me the officer I am today, and I think without that, I wouldn't have survived this long. So.
Yep, all we can do is learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Learn, move on. I mean, the shit, I got sergeant, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning what I can and can't do, because even though everything stays the same, the responsibility now falls on me. So just learning those steps is going to be an important factor. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll look out for those SOPs.
Yeah, I will email you, let you know that I spoke with you, or let Rose know I spoke with you, and we'll try and get that stuff finalized.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Flip.
Sweet. If you had an update on the CSAT stuff, just feel free to let me know, all right?
I will do. I'll go reach out to Remington now.
Good shit, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Anytime. See you out there.
I'll see you out there. Oh, man. God, Churro is so good, man. I know we give Churro a hard time about do your job stuff, but he goes above and beyond with kind of the fine print and critique. So, hi chat. Howdy.
Hello. Go get them. Go get all the criminals.
I'm trying. I can't even get out there. I can't even patrol. Every time I step out, I pull right back in. It's all good though. What's up?
Turn off your phone.
You know what's funny? I had a cadet throw my phone off the roof of MRPD earlier, and I had to buy a new one today.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Oh yeah, that's how often I'm on the phone. Appreciate you, dispatch. Oh man. Okay. Where is Madison? Should we go say hi to Madison, chat? We can go stay out of Madison. Let's go find Manishon. Bower, Night, Strange, Bank. Ooh, they're in the MRPD cells.
38 code
I lied him
once
back.
issued.
All right.
Serving. I don't do that very often with warrants, so.
You're fired, Madison.
Oh, this is a good.
Oh.
This is good. We have another sergeant here for a bounce off of.
So, we've got. I need you to take a look at a warrant, that I just brought in a guy for.
Okay.
87586. I've kind of discussed it with a couple officers that I trust. Remington included. And it bounces off possibly being civil rights violations. So I kind of want to get your opinion on it before I let this guy walk.
Oh god, a Dan Faley warrant.
And not push the charges due to it being possible amendment violations, which is I'm not comfortable with.
Let me read
Yeah.
this real quick.
Yeah.
Officer Faley responded to an officer in need of emergency assistance.
I'm not good when it comes to legal
Faley
articulation
witnessed
shit, so
Trooper
that's kinda why I'm
Ripley
getting
incapacitated
people's
after
opinions
being
before I
shot
do it.
multiple times. After receiving medical attention, Trooper Jack Ripley stated that he was there impounding a vehicle with the license plate clutch when multiple people
I'm gonna
approached
write
Trooper
a
Ripley and
report
opened
on
fire.
the stop.
They then entered the vehicle owned
Just
by
so we
Eric
have
Wolfenstein
the
and fled the scene.
documentation.
Sorry, Eric, we're just discussing.
Faley called Wolfenstein approximately 68 minutes after
all good.
his vehicle had just been used in violent
And
felony,
I
which
know
Trooper
it's-
Ripley
I
was
get it,
shot.
it's not your
Or
fault,
said he
it's
tell
not your
Officer
fault.
Faley where his vehicle was.
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
I don't know where my car is. I'm doing a Dota run
At the end of
currently.
the
It must have
day,
been
if you
stolen.
have to serve it,
Officer
like,
Faley then asked Eric,
I'll-
since he believed it was
Yeah,
stolen,
I
to
guess whatever,
track
I
it
don't
since
give
he
a
has the
fuck.
ability being the owner.
Yeah,
Eric
but, you know,
Wolfenstein
at the
then
same
replied with,
time,
hell no,
there's
I'm not going to track it, and I'm not going to
some
tell you where it is.
boundaries or-
Officer Faley told Eric once again that it was just used within the last 10 minutes in a violent felony and that the shooters are most likely still in possession of it, of which Eric once again refused to track it for officers. Eric was instructed once again to track it. Given the probable cause, officers have to find the vehicle due to the violent felony. Okay. You want my honest opinion?
Yes, straight up.
Straight up. I think
Straight up.
all of this is, I actually, part of me sides with Dan partially. My concern here is there is no evidence whatsoever.
So here's my thing too, Fop. It's using his phone in order to track his vehicle. It's on the same length as requesting your phone logs and your text message logs. It's personal data stored within your phone in a personal device. Dan could have filed for a search warrant and got approval to utilize the phone and use that to track the vehicle, and that would have got approved 100%. But it does, in my opinion, it does require the filing of a search warrant in order to force him to provide his personal data in order to continue the investigation. He is fully within his right to deny us access to his personal device,
So
even if it is kind of shitty. But
the
he is fully within his right to do that.
my rebuttal to that is that you know, in retro to our case law, you know, a car is not a house, which would give us a reason to search the vehicle. I actually see where Dan's coming from here, and this is a rough one. I think this is one that could definitely be contested.
Yeah.
And is definitely raising question. I do think that there is also partial negligence to say that if he was unaware that his car was stolen and used in a crime, for him to not give that up, or at least inform. This comes back down to, hey, we found your gun on this person. Did you report it stolen? No. Right. But
Yeah, but those are regulated.
I was gonna say the thing though is that the not qualified immunity. What's the I keep forgetting what the fuck it's called.
Good faith.
What's up?
Good
No.
faith? Is that the word you're looking for?
No. What's the phrase used? I always forget this. I don't know why. Not qualified immunity. What's the phrase where, like, let's say you sold someone a pocket knife, and they went and they stabbed somebody, and then they came back to you because you sold them the knife. You were unaware that they were gonna go commit a crime with said thing. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. There is a
What,
complete
plausible deniability?
plausible deniability. Wolfenstein could claim plausible deniability for this, for not knowing that his vehicle was stolen. This is kind of an iffy one to question if he should have tracked his car. I think this could go. I honest to God think that this could go both ways.
Yeah.
Can I add 2 cents for you?
Please.
Yeah.
We don't have any forced tampering evidence, which is really bad for Officer Faley's evidence here.
Mhm.
Like, they would have documented this vehicle before transporting it. Where's the evidence of that? Like, I'm the biggest supporter of send someone in, let them fight it in court if it's on the fringe. But I do worry that there's no evidence there of the vehicle. All they have is a license plate. But did they do their jobs or not?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions with this warrant that I'm a bit iffy about. It's kind of why I'm kind of getting people's opinions on it before I go push this guy with felonies and shit, you know?
Here's another
This
question.
is in relation to 87583, right?
I'm looking at 87586.
Yeah, so 87586 is the warrant. 87585 is the shooting, which resulted from 87583. They just
Why?
didn't document it. I remember this because I processed the OIS, but he didn't link those reports in his warrant.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question. Why the fuck are we not pushing? Okay, I'll say this much. I understand Dan's reasoning. The call is a separate incident. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. The call to Wolfenstein is a separate incident of the OIS. It is in regards to it, and I understand why he would have a separate incident. The issue that I have with this is that he did not attach any of these reports to the warrant. I'm gonna be honest with you. If this is something that he wants to contest, he can. Do we have any other evidence of the vehicle being used? Because the other issue is that I still don't see photos of the car.
It's in the original 87583. 87585 is when he got shot, and that's what the warrant is relating to. But that OIS is in regards to 87583. And that one does have a picture, but it's not fully documented. It doesn't have a tampering evidence or anything.
Yeah, I kind of want to know who the fuck documented this thing. This thing sucks. I'm trying to think how I want to.
I'll tell you, my biggest concern 100% is going to be the civil rights violation, the Fourth Amendment rights violation. And we didn't search his phone, which, you know, does kind of save us a little bit, but we can't actually charge somebody for exercising the rights. And I will guarantee you that that is a protected right.
I'm with you. In our state, I don't know if there is a single instance where I can recall an officer requesting records of someone's phone to track a vehicle, though. The question really comes down to is this how, because this would be a precedent then. Would
Let me
this
put it this way, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
You know, in the mainland 48 states, a lot of cars these days have trackers already built into them. A lot of them are smart and things like that. If the vehicle is stolen and used in a crime, or even if they don't know it's stolen yet, if it's a 2022 Ford something crazy and the vehicle is used in a crime and they have the original plate on it, they know the owner. They can't just force the owner to use the tracking that's built into the car. They can't even call Ford and say, hey, I need the tracking on this car. They have to file for a warrant for that. And it's something that will get immediately approved, but it's still a warrant that needs to be signed, a search warrant.
It would, but my only rebuttal is we are not the other. We are our own state.
know.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out if this is a reasonable, like, within the confines of our state, is this reasonable to go down? Because I do see where you're coming from. You Remington, you're 100% correct. I do think that there is enough evidence between these two incidents. My big red flag right now, and when I say there's enough evidence, I say there's enough evidence to have a contest in court. And the reality is that he did not link any of these reports in his warrant, which is concerning because these are related.
I just happen to recognize the contents of the report.
Yeah, which is actually very helpful. There needs to be some related report to this for this warrant to hold any weight. And the question is, and Madison, this is for you. Typically in a situation like this, I believe we would typically uncheck this and explain to the person that wrote the warrant, you know, you don't have any of the other reports related to this. And unfortunately, since neither of us were on scene, even if we can assume and know that these were there, this is not our warrant. I'm not comfortable with adding anything to this warrant unless it's coming from the primary officer.
I mean, we shouldn't have to, right? Like,
yeah,
it should be there ready to go.
Yeah. Because the issue that I'm looking at here is that we have the casings, we have blood, right? We have stuff from people. We have the photo of the scene. In the other report, we have a photo of the plate, which to some regard makes sense. The issue that I'm falling into is that these are not in the warrant itself. And
it's not even attached with a report number or anything, so it's kind of like,
yeah.
You know.
I have never run into a situation where we've asked somebody to track their car and them say no, and I guess respectfully speaking, how the proper response.
Lawful but awful.
I mean, with the way, I'll just be quite real on that. With the way strikes are right now, and the fact that the only way to not get his vehicle striked there, if you did find it and then impounded it, the only way to fight it in court would be to sue his friends, right? So he's not going to do that. Also, if it was another gang who did it, you're not going to sue the other gang, are you? Because they'll just come out and shoot you over and over. So I can understand why everyone wouldn't want to track it in that way, shape, or form. We can't protect them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a lawful but awful thing. Like, it's shitty because we want to find this guy that shot him and he's refusing to cooperate, but it's honestly, it's lawful.
I mean, you have the right to remain silent, right? Like, that's the very first right you've got. You've got the right to refuse to talk to a police officer. You don't have to assist in any investigation.
And I totally
This
get
is a
where
hard
you're
one.
coming from,
This is a genuinely hard one because you are 1,000% correct, Remington. I'm just trying to figure out if in the confinements of our state, if this is, I don't want to use the word reasonable, but if this makes sense in our state.
I mean, Flop, I agree with you. It would be unreasonable to have to put in a warrant just to track the car. Like,
yeah,
that is unreasonable based on
if
what
we're
they're
actually
doing.
able to, if you guys know what I mean, because I feel like it's pretty.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that we can. It's not like we get access to do it. Is you would get a warrant to compel him to use the tracking service. You're like, hey, here is a court order that you have to use the tracking service to track your vehicle.
Counterpoint, with how slow the DOJ is, I feel like we wouldn't get that till the car is long gone.
100%.
Yeah, which is
but we
also
also
what I'm sitting on.
We also can't fault the DOJ for that either. I think this needs a further discussion.
And to be honest with you, that's kind of a problem that they suffer with in the mainland 48 states too. Because that kind of shit happens is you have to file a warrant and wait for, the judge to approve it. And then you have to take that warrant and send it to the, whoever the interactive party is, either the holder of the phone or if you're going to the tracking service provider directly, and then waiting for them to for their legal team to be like, oh yeah, this is 100% signed.
This is a rough one, dudes. I'll say this much. The fact they didn't actually add any of the fact that he didn't add any of the other previous incidents makes this a problem, in my opinion. At the same time, if you do push this warrant, here's the reality, is that when it goes to court, you won't have to stand there and explain yourself, right? And I think that this is this is the
It very
benefit.
much falls on Dan, right?
Yeah, this would fall on Dan. But the question I'm coming into is the fact that he didn't provide any of the other report numbers is I mean, that's kind of an issue for a processing officer to understand the scene.
Yeah, because it's like I didn't even know there was a corresponding report until you guys mentioned it. So that's
Even
I literally just recognized it.
Even the plate read on this would give me enough to say, fuck it, process him, and if he's got a problem with it, to tell him to take it to court. But we don't even, it's not even attached to this report.
yeah, there's literally nothing in the evidence box. It's literally just a statement, which is kind of, for charges like that, I feel like there needs to be something more, not just a fucking statement.
Also, why do you make a separate one for a warrant? I don't get it.
I understand why he did that, because the phone call was separate at a separate time from a separate incident. But if you're gonna do that, attach the other incidents. I don't have an issue with it. I think this would have been all negated and avoided if Dan had just used the previous one. But because it was a couple minutes after, I understand why he would do that in a separate incident. Just if you're gonna do that, attach the damn report numbers.
Yep.
Yeah.
What? I don't want to make Eric sit here for too much longer. What do you guys think? Should I process him and tell him take it to court and Dan can face the consequences of shitty processing, or do I untake the warrant? I let him walk.
A warrant can get reteched is the reality. I think another benefit here too would be to untick it, contact Dan directly and say, hey, unfortunately, you know, if there's other reports that are attached to this, they need to be included in this for evidence purposes. A statement is not going to hold up in court. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if he gets a lawyer and they FOIA this, a judge is going to throw this case out and give him back his time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that it very much so is going to be the case.
In good
okay.
faith.
I'm going to do that for now.
Yeah, in good faith, uncheck the warrant and I say contact Dan. And tell him to just make sure that he adds any of the other incidents, because with just a statement alone, it's kind of hard to have. There's no evidence here. As far as the judge sees when they look at this, there's no evidence. There's no other related reports.
My concern is,
Mhm.
Norman Adams looked at it and he extended the warrant.
Is Norman
Yeah,
Adams
they
around?
probably don't look at it, to be honest.
Because it was Dan asked for a warrant extension. He attached the report to it, and then Norman replied with a 72-hour warrant extension. Which was my other kind of concern: is did a judge overlook it, or did they just kind of look at it and go, "Okay, yeah, cool, let's extend it."
This is a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you do it, and the problem is
Yeah.
that it goes to court, the question's gonna come up is how did we let this pass in the PD? If we uncheck it, then it becomes God.
You could say we're damned if we do, and damned if we don't.
God damn it. I'll give you that. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna take everything that I know about this incident report, throw it to the side, and I'm gonna just be blunt. This warrant sucks.
Yeah. With that being said, I'm gonna get Eric out of here.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel bad that he's kind of standing here. with
If
the
you
shitty
wanna,
warrant.
if you uncheck it, I would not fault you for it. I think that due diligence is important, and I think that if anything, Dan needs to,
he should know better.
yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna be
Get
real.
Eric
Based
outta
on
here.
the timeline, the judge didn't even look at the what Dan attached. You can see
Eric,
that
Can I make you a deal
Patty
here?
put in a
Deal?
request 2 minutes prior to the judge saying yes to both of them,
'Cause I
which
have a feeling I
you can't
understand.
read both of what was attached in 2 minutes.
Here's the deal. If you charge me, can you just parole me and I'll walk I'll take the charge. I won't plead guilty, and then I will deal with this
I'm not inclined to push.
court way.
I mean, I guess he
I
could
was
have been
just
looking
thinking,
20 minutes
you know,
earlier, but
technically,
I don't know,
you
2
did,
minutes after what
because
How do you put in?
tried to, you know, handcuff you for
It just looks like he said, yeah, just go for it,
I just
extend them.
thought it'd be the perfect time for another.
Yeah, I'll talk to Norman about it, and I'll have at least Madison and I talk to Norman about it, because I'm not out here trying to dog in the DOJ, right? They're not perfect. We're also not perfect either, though. And I think a conversation about the reasoning for the extension is needed, because I personally would untick the shit out of this. Without any of the information that we talked about or the other two reports, I would look at this and say, no chance.
Yeah, that's all good.
So
Like this is the I'm trying to be fair with I don't.
at
want
this
people to
point,
get
if we
involved.
untick it, I think the fair assessment would be to just parole him once we get all the information in line and have him go from there. But in the stage that it's in right now, this incident is no bueno.
Because I like.
Yeah, I mean, he's only in here because of speeding as well.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
That's
literally
why
only
they-
here because of the warrant.
Looking at the screen, see
Yeah.
the numbers on it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go in the other room for a couple of minutes. I'll be right back out.
No, you're good.
Get it. I'm trying to
Okay.
be like.
Remington, I did need to talk to you about
I
a
get it. There's
subpoena
warrant,
we're
like,
making.
I
So,
understand,
You want to think about
Oh.
regardless of how shitty it
Okay,
is,
yeah.
I know you guys.
you gonna be
I
on
brought
duty
a
for
bunch
long?
of friends with me.
I'm
I
also
should
not
Hello.
trying to
but I
Hi.
will if you want.
cause issues when.
No, I know what you
I think
mean.
about
I
something.
also don't want you sitting here for an hour. Actually, explain to Flop what you told me, so you can kind of get a deal.
Yeah,
here,
what's
'cause
up?
I'm
What's
kind of
up?
bouncing back
Flop.
and forth between
Hey, Eric.
you.
First and foremost, I didn't say this to you. One thing, that piece of information that I want you to have as well. The day that this happened, I tried to talk to a superior. I 311'd it. I even have evidence that I did that, and I was ignored. So the thing that bothers me just a little bit is that there's no like give and take. It's just, like, oh, we're gonna throw this on you, and then like you're fucked, basically. And if somebody would have at least spoken to me and I could have, talked about it, because what happened was Dan called me and just threatened me on the phone and told me I was going to jail unless I tracked my phone. And like, I had no part in what had gone on. I knew nothing. I was literally working. So it's like,
Here's what I'll say.
I'll
So
come back to
this is
you
this
on
is actually
sort
good
of
for you though. Who were you doing dodo with?
my girlfriend.
Would she be able
No,
to
there's
attest
one
that
more.
in court?
Yeah, and I can pull the paperwork from it of me being paid during that. Dan even knew that I was doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
told him on the phone that I was doing it. I had no part in what was going. He called me, threatening me, telling me I had to show him where my car
Who
was.
didn't they have in cuffs?
Okay.
They let Josh and the other new guy go.
Okay.
The
So
other guy was
And I
just not-
told him on the
It-
phone. I literally told him on the phone. I'm like, so
Oh.
you want me to snitch on
Forget his
people
name.
that just shot a cop, and they're gonna know that I
It's
did
me and
that,
Jasper back here, pretty much.
and then they're gonna come after me. That's like, this is your
Jasper
plan.
wasn't- like, was
And I
outside
said,
the
I'm
window.
not comfortable
That's the
doing
funny
that. He said, well, you're going to jail then. That was the communication I got.
So
Well,
on your end,
so
if you have that photo and you have your witness, I want you to keep
Yes,
both of
I
those
do.
close
You're currently on
and make sure that
13
you have
points.
those.
This charge comes with 3 points. So
There's
suppose
two
you
sides to
decide
this.
to
I
go
actually,
more
I'm gonna be honest with you. I side on one side and I also side on the other side. This is
You're
an
getting
interesting
close to
one
losing it, alright?
to try and like delegate.
Yeah.
There's a couple reasons why it's interesting. I don't think I need to kind of go into detail. I think you
But
kind
yeah,
of
No,
30
I
months, 60
understand.
for all,
You're kinda picking up on it.
$3,285 fine.
Madison, did you tell Eric about what's going on with the
Well,
Well,
warrant?
this is what I was going to say too.
Yeah,
I'm
this is what
fine
he's
with
kind of
taking the
proposing.
charge, but just parole me and let
He
me
was
go,
never inside.
and I'll fight it in court and deal with it at
Yeah,
that point.
like on
That
my
way-
life, that guy was never actually in the house.
You guys are not having to deal with the repercussions of not serving the warrant,
He was a part of it though.
because
But
I
he
understand
Thank you for confirming
that causes issues.
Yeah,
and
but those other two
stupid
guys,
shit.
they definitely were holding stuff with us.
So like, I'll plead not guilty
check the
just to
radio
get this fucking over with,
Right.
and then if I have time in my free time, I will try and go to court over this, which will never happen.
67.2.
But it's whatever.
Well, go ahead and tell me the radio.
Okay.
time.
But what I would rather is you guys
Go ahead
like
and
do
tell me yes,
something
I'll
about
show you.
this.
Oh
Like the
no,
fact that
it's
this was even
Yeah, that-
it's don't even
yeah.
worry about that. That's being taken care
the
of.
fact that it was even like extended is it's just like fucking with me. Like I don't understand how it
I
even
know
got
I would be
to
seizing the
that.
radio,
Like
however,
it's
I'm not
crazy.
so at this time.
Never in my life have I ever heard of anyone in the city in 3 years being forced to track a car. And now I've had a warrant for
I'm gonna be honest with you.
5 or 6 days.
I won't even bullshit you.
All right.
I haven't had.
Let's
Oh,
listen to Ralph's question.
Madison, I'm sorry. I'm very emotional about this. I'm sorry. I personally haven't actually had a run-in with it myself, and it leaves
Like in 3 years.
it leaves
It's
question.
crazy.
It leaves question because I'm gonna be honest with you. What I discussed with other people was in the confinements of our state. How should we actually delegate with a situation like that? It could honest to
I'll
God
go
go
now,
both
'cause then I
ways.
can go
It would
call them
depend
on the phone
on
real
how
quick.
I think a judge
Then
would
they
see
can get
it.
us to prison.
But I will tell you right
I'm
now,
sorry.
your concerns, and I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not saying this to like give you peace of mind. I'm saying this because I mean it. This is going to be addressed and it will be taken care of from our side. I can assure you that.
All right, thank you. I apologize.
Madison, however you want to, I guess, proceed is up to you. One way or another, it should get brought up. Personally, what I said, I think still stands. Unless you want to go to the side real quick, and I'll just tell you what I said again.
Yeah, we'll
Just
slide
like-
by real quick. Sorry.
This is
Eric.
my other question too. My final question is, like, if it gets unticked, this is my thing too, because if like my warrant basically gets nulled, here's my thing, okay? I've now been arrested and brought in. If they're gonna try and
If-
extend that again, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
No. If
Because
the-
I don't want to deal with this again.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Let Madison and I talk real quick. I will be
Okay.
right back with you.
All right.
Probably slightly less.
He's been brought in on a shit warrant. I wouldn't see a problem with untaking it because personally, I just there isn't enough here for me to actually reasonably say that this is a good warrant. I know the other information, but it's also not my warrant to. I've been down this road once before. I'm not about to hold someone's hand to finish a fucking warrant again, right?
No, that's
So, as far as I'm concerned, this should get unticked. In my opinion, this should be unticked. Dan should be informed. Hey, this is not. This information isn't here. And if he says, well, a judge brought this up, I think the honest response is, don't know why, but to any officer, you have other incidents that tie to this that a judge would have to see in order for this to have any weight. If this was any other person in any other case, this warrant is shit, right? It's unfinished,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
uh
If we go down this road, this would be, now granted, this is LSPD. It's not that I'm dumping this on you. I'm not doing that to you.
no, I know.
What I would suggest is talk up chain of command and just bring up the fact that this happened and say, listen, if this has to get rechecked, can we make an exception to say that he was brought in on a shit warrant, he waited an hour plus, parole him and let him go, for him to come back in, and just let him know to come in and just plead to it so that he can then take it to court.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. So he doesn't have to fuck around and sit here for fucking ages.
Yeah.
Because technically he's already served his time, right?
He's already served his time here. I think it's good to say that his time was served, but I think if the reasonable response here is unfinished warrant, no incidents relating back to it, he can come back and serve the warrant and just get parole and fined and told to walk, and to tell him that from the day that it's served, he has 60 days.
Yeah. Okay. We will do that. I'll let him know what's going on, and we'll just get him out of here. I'll
Yeah,
even
you
give him a lift back to
you and
Dodo,
I can talk after too.
Yeah, we'll discuss after.
Okay.
So basically, we're gonna process the warrant.
We're not going to
and
process
give
the
him
warrant.
fine, but
No, we're just gonna uncheck it. Inform the person that wrote the warrant. Let them know that if there's other incidents or anything else, a statement. We need more than just a statement for this, unfortunately.
yeah.
I think
Can I
that
give you an example?
sure.
If I called someone who's got a warrant and said, come in and get arrested, you've got a warrant, and then they didn't, and I put out a disobeying a peace officer charge because they didn't come in,
That's
that's the
actually
equivalent.
that's pretty
That's
much
the equivalent.
that's pretty much the same energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the best approach for this, because I don't actually personally agree with the warrant. I think with all the other incidents, I think that this is a good warrant, but because it's not attached, I'm not about to do someone else's work. This is sloppy, and I do want to talk to Norman about the reasoning as to why this was extended, so that we can get a better understanding. So,
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know. I was shocked when I saw the second
So.
call come up. I'm like, my warrant got extended.
Oh, he wanted to show
Sorry
them.
for bringing you something
my
such
mom,
a
too.
confusing mess.
No, you're fine. Remington, your input is very valid. We have standards in the PD, right? And in my personal and professional opinion, the standard was not met for this warrant. Even if we do have all the evidence, it is not presently available in this report, which makes this no longer, in my opinion, a warrant in good faith based on what is seen in this warrant. A viable...
Yeah, because we can't edit his warrant.
No. The only thing that we can do is
That's-
untick it and go from there. And that'll be sergeant approval.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, me and Madison will go from there. I'll do a write up on this with Madison, and we'll
Yeah, I appreciate that.
we'll proceed.
If you want, I already put a general, because I cover my ass, and I made an incident report about this.
My ride is probably
It's
wondering where
incident
I
report
am at this point, especially
87957,
since I
and that has a
haven't been
general
sent.
like
Wait, did she drive to the prison?
summary of.
I have no idea.
What is it?
I don't know.
Are you
It's
able
the
to
second
walk
most
through?
recent incident report.
No, I can't.
Oh,
There we go.
Oh. All right. You should.
I
maybe
just
get
put a
yourself-
general summary of what we've
Oh,
done,
I didn't mean to do that. I
so that
swear
way
to
we
God.
can speak to it.
That's
I like
fine.
to document everything.
I'm gonna help you every day, so-
I'm sorry.
Okay.
my
Yeah, this is good.
do you wanna lift?
If you want to export it too, that'll be helpful. This or just remember the report number, write it down somewhere. I'm gonna use this as well so that we can have a conversation. You guys are fine. I'm gonna go with Madison. We're gonna discuss this further and hopefully come up with a better answer. So
Okay.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Yeah, I actually agree that this is kind of a shoddy fucking warrant.
I wish God saved me.
Oh, see?
It's a double-edged blade. People are gonna have like opinions on it. The double-edged blade is that on one end, even if we have the evidence, the only reason we know about these other incidents is because Remington documented one of the scenes. She was familiar with the reasoning for the warrant, but that's because Eric got lucky. That still doesn't fall on the other officers to finish the report. If those are involved, we need those related in the report because the judge won't know. And if Eric were to get a lawyer and contest it, they would only FOIA that report. And if they only FOIA that report and not the shooting, then because I do think that there is a precedent set with if you can force somebody essentially to you know, for lack of a better term, give up that information. I do think that would be good for court because in our city, in No Pixel, I don't know. Hey, want to talk in the captain's office real quick?
Yeah, let's talk in the fuck, man.
Why is it Dan? Why? Why?
I don't know. It's always fucking Dan. It's either Dan or Remming. It's one of those two.
Oh God, poor Remming.
I don't know. That warrant was really shitty. Like,
here's my mindset. I think to ask if we can. So, Churro brought up a good point and said that's the same energy there. An example is if I called you and said, "Hey, Madison, you have a warrant. Turn yourself in," and you said no, and then I put out a warrant for disobeying a peace officer.
Yeah, it's kind of it's dumb, right? Like the fact Dan kind of, if it's the way Eric was saying, but you know, Eric has a pretty likely fucking history, and he's not happy with it. Kind of says something. In fact, he says Dan was threatening him over the phone. Kind of makes me inclined to believe Eric, which is bad.
Well,
but
the issue that I run into, and this is the way that I see it. I'm gonna tell you why this is, I think, the way we should go. In my opinion, I'm open to either side. The way that I see it is that if we were to process the warrant and he were to get a lawyer and they were to FOIA that report, the only reason we knew that there was more to it was because Remington was there. So he's lucky, and we are lucky that Remington was able to familiarize herself with the statement as to what it related to. If Remington wasn't there, I'm going to take Remington out of the picture for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You just brought in Eric and you were to push that warrant. We don't got shit.
There's
in that.
nothing in there. It's literally
There's
just it's
nothing
he said, she
in
said.
it. Yeah, at that point, it is a statement from an officer. And I do think that is valid that this goes to court to know if we can tell someone to turn themselves in. I do think that I'm interested to know if they're able to track a vehicle. Because I agree with Remington that it is technically a violation. But in our city, does that apply? That's a little bit of an iffy question to kind of talk about here. But I think that it would be an interesting one for court. Because Remington is right, but in our city, does that apply? Now, for what we know already and what we have right now, Remington's out of the picture. We push the warrant. Eric gets a lawyer. The lawyer is going to FOIA request the report so that they can put it on the docket to take it to court. A judge would not and will not know that those two other incidents were involved. And the only reason we knew those two incidents were also involved was because we had Remington there. Without Remington there to say that, to us and to anyone processing, if a judge were to view that, a judge won't know those two other incidents exist. Right? So I do actually feel for Eric here because I do think that this is a bad warrant in good faith. And that it's unfinished. The last time I went through this, I had to finish this so that a serial killer, who, by the way, I just found out fucking died.
What?
Yeah, was murdered. That's a whole other can of worms I got to focus on.
Oh god.
With a potential Brady violation. From Lovesick. Yeah, it is a catastrophe right now. I truly do think that if those two other incidents were also related and involved, it would hold up better. But I do think that this is a sloppy warrant, and I think that if anything, he needs to add the incidents that are involved and what else it pertains to. Because saying that they saw the plate clutch, when we clearly have a photo of it in another report, I wasn't on scene. You weren't on scene. I'm not about to finish someone's warrant. That should be already included. If that was included, I'd say process the warrant and let him contest it. Give him parole for the time that he waited. But in this instance, those were not there. And I think in light of a judge looking at that, they would have laughed and let this man walk.
Oh yeah, it's I mean, I looked at it and I was like, okay, this is kind of and then I had Remington, who knows a lot more legal jumbo mumbo than me, and I was like,
way
okay,
more than
what
I
do
do.
you think
Yeah.
of this? Yeah, I was and then I asked Kylie and she's like, yeah, this kind of seems like possibly a memo violation. And I was like, okay, and then you walked and I was like, hey, what do you think?
Yeah. I would love to take the reins from LSPD for this, but oh wait, is that Crane? Oh, we have
Who
a
is it? Oh,
Hello.
hey, Crane.
Hey, how you doing?
Is that SOP? Is that standard?
What's that? The uniform?
The bucket hat?
Oh my god.
You want to go catch him real quick and talk to him?
Do we want to bring it up to Crane?
Do we? Well, actually, you know, I could call Crane and have him back here because this might be a question for a judge too.
Yeah.
You want me to call him back in
actually,
here?
I got him in here. Why not?
Hello.
Hello, Chief Justice. It's Flop, the man you just tased.
Yeah.
I actually had a question for you. It's actually very unironic you walked past. It's in regards to a potential warrant extension that happened on a warrant that we just had to uncheck. I wanted to get your potential input on it, unless you want me to contact the judge directly to who extended it. We felt that the warrant should not have been extended and was very poorly written.
What's the thingy?
It is myself and Madison are talking about it in the captain's office right now, but it is, let me find it. Incident 87586. Madison, did you actually uncheck that yet?
Yeah, it should be unticked.
Okay.
You might just have to refresh.
I think I do. So to kind of give you some context, and if it would be easier to talk to Madison and I both, you're more than willing or more than welcome to come into the captain's office. We literally just concluded this.
Yeah, no, that's a terrible warrant.
Yeah, it's a terrible warrant. Now
Well, like legally, you don't even have the right to tell someone to do that.
So
that'd be like if I was standing on my front porch, for example, and I was videotaping.
Would you be able to come in and talk to Madison as well about this? Because this is exactly what we were talking about. Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Should we bring Remington into this too?
Yeah, actually, if she wants. Actually, for the dance shit, no, he's coming back, but Crane just said that you couldn't even process this, which is the answer that we needed.
Oh God, yeah, that says it all.
I think we should explain to him everything because this is I think something really good. I told Crane to come back. He said he was on his way back to the captain's office.
I mean, if Crane just straight out said no, then that says something.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Your Honor. You have all the willing to tase me as you please for having you come back. You were probably on your way out.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's a stupid warrant.
Yeah, we came to the agreement. So to kind of give you some context, there's actually 2 other incidents here that relate to this. And the only reason
I don't care.
Yeah.
So it's dumb on its face. Because, I mean, think through this logically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why does a private citizen have to help you do your job?
That is kind of where we're at.
Like, what legal right do you have to force someone to provide you with evidence that, like, I don't understand. Like, it doesn't.
We agree, which is why this was unchecked. The other area I came into was, and this is actually what Remington outside was mentioning too. Remington stated that this is technically a violation of someone's rights.
Yes, it is.
And I agreed with her. And I said the question would come down to, would there be, is this the same application in the state of San Andreas? I said, because this is,
yes.
this
So,
is
like, for example,
one.
right, this is really simple, okay? If I'm standing on my front porch and police have someone run onto my front yard and into my backyard and run through and get away from them, and they think that I have a security camera on my property that's recording, and they want me to give them the tape, I don't have to give them the tape. They can ask, but it's my private property, my private recording. Just because it has to do with their investigation, it doesn't matter. It's still my property. Now, if they want to try to claim that they know that it has material evidence that will, lead to the arrest of someone for a certain crime, well, gosh, that sounds like the articulation for the reasoning for a search warrant, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or a subpoena or whatever, right? So the idea is that if a court were to order me to give it to them because they signed an affidavit and went through the proper procedure, then sure, I would have to hand it over. If a court ordered someone to track their car, something like that, sure. But a citizen doesn't have to help police do their job. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think we're all on the same wavelength here.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't come off very genius-like when it was read, and the only area that I also had
it comes off as petty and shitty.
It is.
Yeah.
And from what we heard from the individual that had the warrant on him, the officer apparently threatened it on him. So that's gonna
of course he did.
Yeah, that's something that we're gonna handle.
Ripley got shot down. Faley was butt mad about it, and so he fucking called the guy and said, "Track your car or else." And the guy called his bluff, and so he wrote a warrant. The warrant's shitty. The threat is fine because you guys can lie and intimidate and do whatever you want to try to get people to do what you want, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't violate their rights, and this violates their rights.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page with that. I wanted to make sure that was still in line. There's a lot wrong with this. Yeah, there was a lot wrong with this. I also mentioned, too, that the only reason we knew 2 other incidents happened that were related to this. So I guess Dan made a separate incident to push the